Good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Friday, August 20th, 2021. And our top stories today: spending American Rescue Plan Act dollars and property values and home prices on the rise. Joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Shane Grimm is Director of City Planning for the City of Havre de Grace, Maryland. Shane, so great to see you again. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Good morning, Jeff. Thanks for having me again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I hope things are going well in the City of Havre de Grace in Maryland. I know we've seen the spike in Delta cases, so I hope things are well there. Let's jump in. Let's talk about this American Rescue Plan. Part of the American Rescue Plan was to give money to cities, tribal areas, counties, etc., to support some of the government services. How has that been handled by the City of Havre de Grace, Maryland?
Well, the City of Havre de Grace is really excited to be receiving $13.8 million from the federal government, and we have big plans for that money. While we're still trying to figure out exactly what that money can be used for, we do know that it certainly could be used for infrastructure. So we have many projects that we're looking at, replacing old water and sewer lines. The mayor oftentimes shows at council meetings, we have some pipes in the ground that were laid during the administration of Teddy Roosevelt that are still in use today. So we are actively trying to go out and replace those pipes. It's pretty interesting to know that they're that old.
Yeah, maybe it's a bit, maybe they belong more in a museum than they belong in the ground. Shane, let's talk about the process. And I want the audience to understand there's a city council, there's the mayor, and everyone kind of works together to plan how to allocate funds. Does the public also get a say in the process?
Yes, mainly during the budget review process that starts early in the year and goes through May. Our budget was passed. We did know that we were going to be getting some monies from the federal government. Actually, it turned out to be more. We originally thought we were going to get around $11.5 million, so we were surprised to learn we were going to get some more. But we also have various committees, budget and finance committees and other committees in the city that have council members on them. And then there are citizens from the public that serve on those committees that help to also direct those funds and make comments about what capital projects should be ongoing. And one of our big projects that we're just really starting to dive into is a downtown revitalization project.
Hey, let's talk about that. I think when we last spoke, it had to be several months ago, we were in the throes of the pandemic. I know that there was a lot of construction, a lot of people moving out of big cities, big urban areas, like Baltimore, Charlotte, New York, et cetera, coming to great cities like City of Havre de Grace, and therefore maybe needed some infrastructure to be built around that. What's the revitalization project look like, and what's the timeline for it?
Well, right now we're really getting into the RFP phase of looking for a consultant to come in and look at our downtown and figure out how we can make it more vibrant and really bring more people out onto the streets. What we learned during the pandemic is that we took a lot of those indoor seating at restaurants and we brought them out onto the sidewalk and into the street through the use of temporary barriers, which allowed for real nice outdoor dining experiences, which everyone loved. So we're going to try to capitalize on that and really try to bring back that vibrancy more on a daily basis by doing a downtown revitalization that emphasizes pedestrian movements, that vibrancy of having people out on the sidewalks and out on the streets.
And it probably does, it's probably a lesson, Shane, from the pandemic that, outdoor dining kind of mitigates some of, if you can spread people out enough, kind of mitigates the spread of COVID or the Delta variant. When we last spoke, you also mentioned you had a new brewery come in or a new restaurant and brewery come in and some other businesses. Are you still seeing the groundswell of people coming to the area, small business owners starting businesses or bringing their businesses there?
Absolutely. We had the brewery open up, Battery Island Brewing, which is on Washington Street, which is essentially our main street in downtown Havre de Grace. And they're doing excellent. They're a very, very small brewery. They consider themselves a nano brewery. So very small production and sort of a small space, but perfect for the gentlemen that are running it. And it's really been a great addition to our downtown. And we've had other businesses as well. One of the businesses is very small also, but they do a lot of woodworking and metalworking. And it's my understanding they can't keep product in their store. So they're doing well. And we're hoping to attract more businesses like that downtown.
Are you seeing, to that point, are you seeing more businesses reopen? Obviously, COVID was really challenging for large and small businesses, but I think small businesses really hit hard. Restaurants, you mentioned the woodworking company, greeting card companies. I mean, you name it. They were hit hard, and they were lucky enough to get PPP money or grants from local government. Maybe they were able to keep their doors open. Are you seeing more of the local business owners kind of revitalized, to use your word, and re-engaged and reopening?
Yes. From my perspective, we didn't see a whole lot of loss in the business community downtown. We typically have a normal kind of rate of turnover with the smaller businesses, but nothing that was really, disturbing or shocking. And we're really seeing those folks come back and really be re-engaged with the community. And also, we're seeing new businesses come in, some larger businesses. One that we're really excited about on our waterfront is what I would call a hydroplane or a hydrofoil. They're a company that is out of Colorado that has decided to move and have a base on the Chesapeake Bay. And that is a really, really neat thing, almost like a luxury product. So they saw the opportunity in Havre de Grace, and they're located here, and they're just getting underway.
Yeah, it's a destination spot. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. A lot of history. You mentioned the Chesapeake Bay. It's a great place to visit. Shane, we also talked last time about, I think, the hospitalization. The hospital, I think, had closed or had moved to a different city or town. You'll have to refresh my memory. Any money from this ARP allocation that could be used for government services to support greater access to hospitals and other more important government services?
The hospital hasn't closed yet. It's kind of a several-year process to close, and it will be moving to what I'll call our sister city, which is the city of Aberdeen, which abuts the city of Havre de Grace. So it's really not moving that far. But at this point, we're not sure what funds we can use from that ARP funding to help with the redevelopment of the old hospital site, which is actively being marketed at this time. Also, the site where we thought the hospital was going to move to within the city before they decide to relocate to Aberdeen is a large tract at the interchange on 95 with Maryland Route 155, which, as you probably know, they don't make 90 acres or 100 acres of land on interchanges anymore. So we have a very good opportunity at a gateway into our city off of obviously a major corridor, the 95 corridor, which we're really excited about. And there's potential future opportunity for things like hotels and mixed-use development that really could complement our city as well.
Is it your sense, with talking with your colleagues, your peers in other cities, that they're seeing a revitalization, that they're hopeful, they're seeing a lot of movement? I mean, city of Havre de Grace obviously is a destination place in the state of Maryland, but I would imagine in your conversations with peers, they're equally excited about the movement of people to their communities.
We are. We're seeing that. I have meetings generally quarterly with the other municipalities in the county, which are the city of Aberdeen and the town of Bel Air, and they are excited. They're starting to see people come back out after the pandemic, and really go out to restaurants and local establishments, retail establishments. So we're starting to see a lot more energy around the municipalities in Harford County, and I think there's a lot of excitement. There's still some trepidation, obviously, with the new COVID variant out there, and we are seeing some trends upward in that, which are a little disconcerting. But otherwise, I think there's a lot of excitement in Harford County, and we're really kind of on the map for various different things. While it's not in the county, right across the bridge, we'll be seeing the development of a Great Wolf Lodge. And the Great Wolf Lodge, if you're not familiar with it, is a water park, and they are building their flagship and largest location in Cecil County. And we'll see some residual effects of tourism from that in the county. So we're excited about that as well.
Thanks, Shane. And when we come back, property values and home prices are on the rise. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms? Especially for the smaller businesses. I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're talking to Shane Grimm of the city of Havre de Grace, Maryland. Shane, thanks so much for staying with us this morning.
Yes, thank you.
So let's get into property values. And we've seen property values all over the United States really drive up. We've seen home sales drive up. From the perspective of the city planner, how do you process the increase in these property values, and what's it mean to you?
Well, it's very meaningful to our city. What we've been seeing downtown, especially in our older housing stock, which is anywhere from the early 1800s to the early 1900s, which we had some very beautiful homes, and especially along Union Avenue, is those homes are selling so quickly and the values have increased dramatically. And in fact, what we've really been surprised with is I've seen at least 2 or 3 homes that have been in bidding wars, and the folks that actually wound up buying those homes, they bought them sight unseen. So that is really exciting, and that really means a lot for Havre de Grace because there's a lot of interest in being downtown, but there's a lot of interest, like we've talked to in a previous podcast, for people moving from those bigger cities into smaller towns like Havre de Grace. So there's a lot of excitement around that. Essentially, property values from assessed value in this area, we're seeing residential properties up about 8% and commercial properties up about 2%.
Now, from a taxation point of view, if the property value goes up, that means the assessed value can go up. And kind of break that down for me, if you wouldn't mind, and for the audience, because I'm completely ignorant about that. But that would mean that property values go up, tax value, assessed values goes up. It means that property taxes would theoretically go up as well.
That's correct. So those property taxes would go up. And also, obviously we're going to see the benefits of those, which will then help our city to continue to grow and improve. And we're starting to see the benefits of those increased property values in the city coffers. And along with what we're seeing from the ARP funds, we're using those funds to really improve the city. And some of the things that we're doing in the city that are really exciting that I did mention before are there was the old middle high school, which was demolished. and was rebuilt. And that is a beautiful new school. But as part of that, there was an auditorium gymnasium building, which was separate from the main school, which as of 2 weeks ago was donated or given to the city by the county. So the residents of the city can look forward to potentially a really nice adaptive reuse of that building for the community. And so we're really excited about that. Lots of new home sales and new homes coming out of the ground as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. There has been some challenges initially during the summer of getting lumber, some other supply chain issues that really pushed aside the ability to create homes and build new homes. Are you starting to see now with that number, that lumber number, that price per lumber coming down, are you starting to see more homes, actual homes being built to deal with that demand, or are people still buying pre-existing homes?
You know, Jeff, the interesting thing, I can't really speak from the builder side, but it never really slowed down when we had that supply chain issue, especially with lumber. In our city, that the number of new homes and the number of new home permits that we've been receiving has been really good. And so that really hasn't impacted that. So people were still buying, even though they were tacking on, I've heard, up to $30,000 on a new home to overcome those costs. Those homes were still coming out of the ground. And from what I've heard, at least where we are, it hasn't been so much the lumber that's been the issue. It's been smaller things that have been tough to get, like door handles or even appliances are a tough thing to get. I've heard some people say that they can't get refrigerators or microwaves or ovens. So that's been more of a problem that I've been hearing than actually being able to get those homes out of the ground and framed. So we have not seen any slowdown with that. And I have heard that some of those prices have eased as well.
Yeah, well, maybe they just need to go out for dinner more in the waterfront.
That's correct.
Shane, let's talk about getting a permit. How difficult has it been? Obviously, City of Havre Grace has to grow in a methodical way. You don't want a whole influx of people. How difficult, how challenging is it for people to be issued a construction permit? There's a lot of, I guess, zoning that has to happen. Can you walk us through that process a little bit?
Sure. It's a fairly simple process here. We are lucky that we utilize the county to review our plans. As with a lot of small cities, we just don't have the resources to be able to review everything. So we rely on the county to review our building plans. So it's really as simple as someone coming in with a site plan and their building plans, and then we get those reviewed. And once they're reviewed and approved, then we will issue them that permit to be able to construct. One of the biggest issues is not necessarily the application process. It's unfortunately, there are a number of fees that are associated with getting a building permit in the city. And that has to do with recoupments for costs that we've had to put out for upgrading our water treatment plant and our wastewater plant. And a lot of municipalities deal with that. You know, we have unfunded mandates from either the state or the federal government to upgrade specifically like our wastewater treatment plant. And those costs have to be passed on. So they get passed on through the permit process. So it can be quite expensive just to get that piece of paper to say, I can build a home.
Well, if you don't have that, though, you're not going to be able to build anything. You'll be living in a tent. Shane, I guess last question. Let's talk environmental. A lot of questions, or this is a big issue now. People want to invest their monies in environmental causes, social, companies that do well right by the environment, but also are socially conscious, have the right governance. Are you seeing that as a big issue for local, either government or local investors, people looking to come in, and what's the impact going to be to the local community and the environment as well?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, Jeff. This is a very progressive city, especially when it comes to the environment. And with climate change and sea level rise, certainly we will be impacted being right on the river at the confluence of the Susquehanna River and the Chesapeake Bay. But one of the things that I'm really proud about that I've been involved tangentially is with some waterfront improvements and improvements to streams, wetlands, and things like that, which our Director of Public Works has undertaken. And we are poised to start a project called our Shoreline Restoration Project, a living shoreline project that will be almost the entire length of the shoreline of the city of Havre de Grace. And that is a really, really big deal. And it's a really new technology that we hope will help with meeting our federal requirements for reducing pollutants. And the city is going to be put on the map if this project works, which we really believe it will. And we have a lot of environmentally conscious people in this city. And that really starts with some of our watermen and some of the other folks in the city that are really into environmental causes. We have a big faction of people here that are into community gardening and making sure that the city is clean. We have different clubs for going around the city and cleaning up the city. So the environment is a big deal here.
That's good. Well, obviously important if you're going to live there. You want to make sure it's clean, the water's clean, the environment's clean. You can actually live there, especially when you have all these people moving. You don't want to distract and push people away. Shane, we're going to have to leave it there. Always great to chat with you. Great to understand what's happening in the city of Havre de Grace and what goes through the mind of a city planner. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
That wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the information in retirement, markets, technology, personal finance, so much more, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. We're back again tomorrow, this time for BRN Weekly. We'll have a very special guest, and we'll take a look at some of our best segments for the week. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Call 800-224-6439.